What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today I'm doing a review of the PlayStation Classic because, quite frankly, this is by far the biggest ripoff in all of 2018. Mine is already broken, and I've only been using it a few hours. How can you have such a shoddily made machine and it's so overpriced? I paid $125 in total to have this thing shipped to my house, and the reason I paid that price is because I was extremely excited for it. I am an RPG lover to my very heart, but along with that, I'm a huge lover of PlayStation back to the very start. That's why I have the freaking limited edition see-through blue PS4, because I love this company and I love what they do normally, but this is a shoddy cash grab. So let's talk about what this little piece of plastics is supposed to be, which is apparently a retro-styled console, much in the vein of things like the SNES or NES classics. Something that's made to sort of bundle together the absolute greatest gems of yesteryear on one little package. And that seems like such a brilliant idea, because in general, I feel like a lot of people, they very much nostalgically look at these games, but have no way to access them. So putting a bunch of them onto one little device and putting a big price tag on it, that's just good business. Which is why you should have made this with better quality stuff. Let's begin by talking about what games are on this thing. Overall, I think that the library is pretty decent, but it seems like about half of it is just strange filler that doesn't make sense. Now, if you want to put something like Metal Gear Solid, Persona, Final Fantasy VII, Wild Arms, I mean, all that stuff makes perfect sense because those really are games that helped establish Sony in the marketplace. But other stuff like Battle Arena Toshinden or Jumping Flash, those have no place whatsoever on this machine. But along with that, there are some games that I personally love, like Mr. Driller, that are on there that shouldn't be, in my opinion. Because as good as that game is, and as fun as the action can be, it's not at all something that's classic when it comes to the PlayStation's library. You know what? I wish I could show you more gameplay of all these, because unfortunately, my console fried about 2 hours after I hooked it up. So I recorded a little bit here and there, and as soon as I began playing this, I noticed that there was something very, very off in general. I think that the hardware is okay. I think the way this thing looks aesthetically, very, very quirky and cool. The controller, I think the controller is actually pretty decent, and the fact that it comes with 2 of them is neat. But when I started playing it, I noticed that everything was too slow. Everything, every hit, every motion seemed like it wasn't quite going the correct speed. So I ended up looking it up, and it turns out that almost all of these are running on the PAL emulation. So if you've never heard this before, but during the 80s and 90s, there were very different styles of technology that had to be used. Since over in Europe they have different plugs and different outlets, they had to program a lot of the game consoles to run at a different speed. Typically 50 Hz instead of 60 Hz, I believe. Here's the issue with that. It made all their games a little bit more slowed down. So when I'm trying to play something like Tekken 3 on this, here you can see just a little bit of the gameplay I managed to freaking record before my console basically caught on fire. It all looks very, very delayed. Anytime I'm trying to do combos, you can see that it's not connecting the way it should. How the heck do you screw this up? It's so weird that you chose the inferior version for all these games. If anything, you should have taken the US versions and put them on the European console. That way everybody was getting the fastest and best version. We don't have these problems with outlets and power conversion rates anymore. So why? Why the heck are you having this happen? In general, though, I think that a big issue is the fact that the library itself is still just a little bit peculiar. I mean, I like the fact that Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil is on there, but I feel like you missed out on so many true classic games, like Mega Man Legends, or try to put something like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro on there. Those are games that really, in my opinion, fundamentally established Sony in the business. It really kind of made them basically be like, hey, pay attention to me. I mean, the fact that you don't have Crash Bandicoot on there when he was arguably the mascot of the PlayStation is such an obvious oversight. But the biggest issue of all is the fact that this is a piece of garbage. It all runs on a USB port. So as you'll see on the back of the machine itself, there's a tiny little micro USB, and it comes with a micro USB cord, but no sort of charger, nothing like that. So because of it, you're just supposed to plug it into any USB and it'll run this. And for a bit, that kind of worked. As soon as I started playing this, I noticed that I had this really weird issue where as I was playing it, it would occasionally just shut off after about 6 minutes. But not fully. It would basically kept seeming to trip itself out and go back into standby mode, and I would have to wake it up again. Which means that when I was trying to play something like Siphon Filter, I could not even get through the opening part of the first mission before it repeatedly shut itself off. So I was using a Samsung charger port originally because I knew that it was the correct 5 voltage. But there still seemed to be not enough energy to really make it work. So obviously, since I'm trying to freaking beat these games for freaking work here, I decided that I should try plugging it into different outlets. I have a lot of different plugs, and so what I did is I got the USB and I started plugging it into my different console USB ports. And everything seemed to be okay at first, like when I plugged it into my PlayStation for fun irony's sake, but when I plugged it in to my Switch, for some reason, the thing just fried. Instantly, burned up, no point, doesn't do anything anymore. Here's a video what it looks like now when I actually try and turn it on. It'll sit there, completely blacked out, nothing happens. I plug it in, push the power button, it will shine for a millisecond and then go right back to being a brick of plastic. Now, I think what's going on here is the fact that this thing is very shoddily made. It's quite obviously about 2 ounces, and it seems like they did not put any sort of power converter inside this. If it doesn't actually have the 100% down to the micro voltage cable correctly plugged in, it melts it. I wasted $125 for nothing. Now, the reason this is so frustrating to me isn't just the wasted cash, it's the wasted promise. I normally trust Sony a lot. Their games are great, their console blows my mind, and I think even their more weird products like PlayStation TV really managed to impress me in the past. So the fact that suddenly they deemed it worthy of putting out something that's such an obvious freaking thing to just garner an extra boost of money before the holidays is extremely disappointing. And you know what? Sony, I really hope you watch this video because I have a feeling that down the road you're going to try and make a PlayStation Classic 2 that has DualShock controllers and even more games like Resident Evil 2. When you do that, make it better quality. If you are trying to charge $100, which is more cost than the NES Classic Edition, the SNES Classic Edition, it's even dramatically more expensive than the freaking Sega clone consoles. If you are trying to one-up them on cost, you need to one-up them on quality. This has 1 save state, 20 games, almost no cool UI. It is literally the most bare bones product you can possibly cram together because they don't care. It doesn't matter. To them, this is literally just a way of trying to go in there and make fans like me swipe our credit cards. And really, that, more than anything else, is why I'm so annoyed, is that this easily could have been the best plug and play. It could have been the machine that finally showed us that hardcore gamers can have an extra awesome product made by any company that wants to do it. I feel like this really could have opened the gates to so many good freaking things down the road, and instead, it is literally useless trash. I guess I'm gonna have to try and return this. I don't even know if I freaking can. Oh my gosh. Do me a favor, please like this video, share it somewhere on forums and Reddit and stuff like that to warn people that if you are not careful with this little delicate piece of plastic, it will explode and waste your time. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do it the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. And of course, right now there's a plane flying right over my house. Please, take me away. Take me away to a universe where there isn't all these crappy clone consoles made by Sony. No! Oh, hey, I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.